the way I think about it is like what's happening in your work, in your tasks, like your around your performance. How well is that going? How well are you? How excited are you about those tasks? And talking about that, and me, I can provide feedback. I can share what I see is going well, what I can see we're doing better. But really, it's oriented around what are your main goals that you want to accomplish, right? And from a high level perspective, how well are you feeling like you're in tune with those and discussing any roadblocks or any issues there? So I might just ask the person like, hey, how's the last week gone, and let them sort of go fully in whichever direction they see like it's up top of their mind. This meeting is really for the person that, they set the pace, they set the agenda, they set the issues, and it's more for the other person that coaches them, that mentors them to listen and to go deep on the things that they hear are valuable to that person. So I had a one-on-one today with Deb, and a key question that I want to ask her is like, how are you feeling? Like, is your role, is your job, the tasks that you're doing, do you feel like it's too much? Is it overwhelming? Is it just right? Is it like actually you feel like you want to take on some more tasks because you have some slack? And like, that's always a question that I want to sort of poke at from a few different angles, especially if I already have a hunch like, oh, this person is seeming a bit like underwhelmed. They're like sort of, trying to just look around for things to do, or like this person is like seeming stressed. Like, okay, what's maybe there's too much going on. Like, what can I help them think through and maybe take off their plate, or do we need to hire? Do we need to split the role, or what have you? Right? A cue for me sometimes is when it's like dependencies with other areas within Buffer. When people say like, oh yeah, like I think we had this before. It's like, oh, I need some design help or some engineering help. It's like, oh, and I know exactly. I need to talk quite a lot about this because this is a key thing that needs to be solved. Or like Deb's talking about like other areas helping her with hiring interviews. Like, oh, that's really key that we dive in on that and figure it out, because like any interpersonal stuff, I think is always is usually often a bottleneck, and like tweaking that and fixing that is I think really important. The most underlying point, and that's almost something that you can't do, but it's more like a state, is that the two people are trusting each other, right? So that the person, so for example, Courtney and I, we are having one-on-ones, like that you feel like you can trust me to open up about any issues whatsoever, right? Yet you don't feel like, don't want to say this because that's gonna come back to me later on, or like I don't want to like open up, don't want to be vulnerable. Like you don't. So if that's I think the most fundamental situation, because that's when you can truly speak openly and speak freely and go into the topics, go into the issues that really, really matter. So I think that's the underlying state that's really important. And like if you don't have that, it almost doesn't matter which tip or trick or question or whatever you ask. Like, it's just you're gonna hit that wall where it's gonna stay shallow and you're not gonna get to that certain level of depth.